Got him. Right in the tree, just what I thought. Not a big one, but it's a start. It's a start. Oh my goodness. He sure gave it to me. Well, that is a start, folks. He ain't very big. Look at that chatterbait compared to him. But he was up shallow. I'll tell you what. We're at Roosevelt Lake here today, and I'll tell you, man, January can be some of the toughest fishing conditions there are, and on any body of water, it seems like. But there's times it can be very rewarding as well. We're here at Roosevelt Lake, and you know, what I'm trying to do today is I figured, well, we got a late start. So I thought, well, let's go ahead and just drop the trolling motor down, throw some reaction. And one of my favorite things to do is like throw a spinnerbait, a chatterbait, and we're gonna try it just a little bit. I've got my backup where I can throw something in the trees if I want to and slow down. If I think there's something in a big wood log or a tree or something like that, I can throw. But the old chatterbait, it's just a swim jig's all it is. And gotta be careful not to get it hung up. But I'll tell you what, a lot of times what I'm doing with this is, and I actually caught one before we even started filming, as I just tied it on and threw it out in a tree. But I'm finding some of these trees that are right up against the bank, and you got to remember that the water's 57 degrees here, where I actually came into a cut where I can find fish maybe moving a little bit shallow. We got a lot of rocks here. Find a rocky bank like this. Crawdads hide in it. You know, you can catch some fish out of these. Look at the trees. But any of this thick wood, not regular bushes, but that thick wood like that right there, that tree is where I just caught that fish out of. And it's where I caught the first fish when we first got here. So that's what I'm gonna start concentrating on, is I'm just gonna cover some water. A lot of times it's fun just to cover some water and see what you can't catch on reaction. And we'll throw up in some of these trees. And that's what I'm gonna look for. The other thing I'm gonna look for is I'm gonna find areas that might have the warmest water. So, coves, places where they want to move up into spring. We know it's a winter bite. You could probably go find some spoonfish. We've done that here, but a lot of times there's always shallow fish. And that's the one thing to remember. You don't have to fish deep to catch fish year round, especially on Roosevelt Lake or our lakes here in Arizona. A lot of times, on the lower lakes anyways, you can go out and find shallow fish. And that's what we're going to try to hunt today is just try to catch some shallow fish. So we'll go down the bank, throw that chatterbait a little bit, and you can see the water's a little off colored. It's still pretty clear in some areas, but I was expecting when I showed up with all the snow and the rain that we've been getting the last few weeks, that the water'd be somewhat muddy. And we're in this particular body of water out here, and I can see it's pretty clear. But we might hit areas where there's a mud wash running through, and we need something with a little bit of color. But chartreuse never hurts. White and chartreuse is always a great color to start with. Got that one though. Slow rolling it down there. Oh yeah, come on baby. I got that one, by golly. Oh my goodness, there we go, come on. Yeah. A nice little Roosevelt Lake bass on the walls. You know, we fished an area that had those trees and everything, and I figured I'll work these walls out. I love fishing the steep walls, the bluffy areas like this here, and it's got so much to offer because you do have trees coming out, little bushes, but you got all this rock. I got bit in this cut right here, which is a perfect place for a bass that's gonna ambush prey to be. Right in an area like that, a little shade, they like to get up in there. It's always worth the pop to just kind of go down the bank, believe in what you're throwing. You know, when you get a couple bites, believe in it. And a lot of times in January, it's a slow bite. It's not like you're gonna go out and catch, 100 fish. You gotta cover some water and believe in what you're doing. But kind of pinpoint some areas, maybe some deeper water, stuff like that, where there's some trees. And because they'll go out to that deep water, and then in the middle of the day, they'll come up and they'll use these rocks to sun themselves on. You can parallel this stuff and hit in some of these little areas, these nooks and crannies like this, and pull a fish or two out. Got him. I got him. Oh, he wasn't that big. He came off. He hit halfway to the boat, he hit. Oh, I wasn't ready for that. That's okay, we got bit. That happens sometimes, but I was in a bad position. I was winding in, I was gonna change my position, and he hit me right at that, and I just wasn't ready. And I just didn't get a good hook set on him. But he was there. You know, all I'm doing now is this is a big drop off right here. All I'm doing is just kind of working my bait real slow down this drop off. That's the cool thing about a chatterbait. It's real versatile. You know, you can hop it, you can cast it out there and bring it through the bushes over top. You can, you know, just slowly, there's no wrong way to really fish this. It's a lot of fun, and you can throw it just like a spinnerbait. You know, this particular area, and this is why I say covering a lot of water is important, because we're coming down this bank and it looks like, if you look at the terrain, it's just, it drops down and then it flattens out. So you think you're gonna be fishing in 2-3 foot of water, you know, 10 feet out from the bank, but here we are sitting in 20 foot of water or 16 foot of water, and it drops right off here. And it's deep enough water for those fish, especially in the wintertime, where they can head to deep water out here and still be close enough to the shoreline where when they want to move up and sun or they want to move up and feed a little bit, they still have that deep water access. So it's not a complete, what I would say, bluff or straight wall, but it kind of is. It drops off right here and then comes down pretty good. And that's good areas to find fish in. So that's why it's important to just put the trolling motor down. You don't have to go on high, but just cover some water, because a lot of this stuff looks like it's going to flatten out and it actually drops off. Now, right where you see the trees coming in the water over there, you know it's starting to flatten out, but before there's a nice little dip right through here. And that's where we just caught that fish, or had that fish on. Got him. That's a good fish there. Came right out of that bush right there. That's a good one, folks. Not a bad fish. Cold water bass. Come on, son. Ah! Little chatterbait bass. Oh, we dropped the hammer on you, son. Ah. Oh my goodness, look at that. That's a beautiful looking fish. Yeah. That's a beautiful Roosevelt Lake bass. We came across the lake, thought I would try something with a little bit more trees in it instead of the rocky bluff stuff that falls completely off. We still have, this bank has a lot of rock on it, but we've got a few more bushes and trees through here. And I just thought, you know what, this little area right through here looks good. Let's give it a shot, make long casts. You know, that's the other thing, is I like to try to take a little bit longer casts and have that element of surprise for these fish as well, but I can cast in these lanes, and you can find the lanes, like right here's a lane, and all I'm doing is casting back in there in those lanes and bringing the bait out. And he slugged it right there between those two bushes right there as I was bringing it through. And the retrieve is not such a bad deal. You know, with a chatterbait, when you're throwing a bait like this, you can see the bait itself. It's got an exposed hook on it, okay? This isn't something you can just let drop in the middle of a tree and try to get it out, things like that. You gotta keep it kind of coming, and you gotta be aware of what you're bringing it over and not let it get caught up. But that vibration from this bait going back and forth, that blade right there, it's basically a vibrating jig. You can see it's a jig head. It's got the blade on the front, but it vibrates and it makes that bait shake back and forth, and their lateral lines feel it. They can feel the vibration, and man, and that blade right there that I'm using, which is the silver blade, offers a little flash. So on top of the flash, and then they see the tail of the bait, it's just a nice looking bait. And I'll tell you what, the chatterbait catches normally good quality fish. And man, this one right here is getting it done for sure. Catching a few fish, and we're able to cover lots of water and check out the lake and see what's kind of going on too. So it's one of those go-to things I really like to do. You can throw a spinnerbait in there too, but I'm trying to have a little bit smaller profile right now. So that little smaller profile works great. That's a 1/2 ounce bait that I'm throwing. So it works out really nice. Got him right there. Oh, he's giving me the fight now, son. Right off that point. Come on. We caught him right off that point, right off that log. Come on. Oh, I got him hooked pretty good, I think. Come on. Come on. Come on. Ah! Oh my goodness. There you go. We dropped the hammer on him. And that was fun. Oh my goodness, he smoked that bait. That's a couple of quality fish, you know, we've been catching off. That's the one thing I love about the chatterbait more than anything. It's like the spinnerbait. A lot of times you catch good quality fish off these baits. And it makes a big difference when you're looking for a quality bite. We're not getting a million bites today, but the thing is we're catching them, we're fishing shallow, we're covering some water. I went back down through the other way on the spot right across the way here where we caught them a little while ago and didn't get another bite. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go try this other side. It's beautiful chunk rock. It's got some wood lay down in it like this. Kind of find something similar to what we're kind of putting the puzzle together. But it's January and it's tough fishing, but you can cover some water and catch some fish. And it's a lot of fun. It really is. These chatterbaits are a lot of fun. On this particular bait too, I think it's important to, you know, we're fishing a lot of this kind of stuff and we are in some open water, but I throw this on my spinnerbait rod. And medium heavy rod, you want to throw, I just got hung up, but you want to throw 17-pound test line, fluorocarbon line. And that really makes a difference. That way you can set that big hook. See that big hook right there? You can actually set that big hook into the fish. And that's so important. Folks, when you're throwing your baits, look at the size of your hook versus the size of the line that you're throwing. You'll have, if you're throwing really light line, say I was throwing 8-pound test line with this, number one, on the hook set, using the heavier rod, you could snap the line, but more than anything, you're gonna have a tough time getting that big meaty hook in the fish. So you wanna throw something a little bit heavier. You know, 17-pound test is my go-to for my spinner baits, my go-to for this kind of bait right here, the jackhammer. And I'll tell you, if you use too light a line, like I said, not only that, with light line, you know, you get a lot more stretch, you know? So even though fluorocarbon doesn't stretch as much, it does have stretch in it at a long cast. And if you're throwing real light line, you gotta take all that into consideration. So these type of baits, these bigger baits, you definitely wanna go with the heavier line. Plus you're throwing in some of this brush. You wanna get the fish out of there if you get a good one. Hey folks, for my tip of the week, one thing really important, you know, when I'm retrieving this bait, it just looks like I'm slow rolling it, doing things, but actually with my rod, I can feel the submerged brush underneath the surface. Like this stuff here, just imagine it being under the surface. So as I'm bringing it off the bank, I'm slowing my roll down and I'm actually bringing the bait right over the top of the brush there. I want to feel it tick over the tops of those branches. And it's really important to do that to initiate some of those strikes that we're getting. It's slow anyway. A lot of times those fish are going to use that for cover. They'll be in it down under the water and this bait's coming right over the top of it and they're coming out and hitting it. So it's very important to remember that when you're doing your retrieve, it's not just a throw out and reel in. It looks like that, but I'm doing all I can just to hit the top of the brush with my bait and keeping it above there without trying to get hung up. You're gonna get hung up a little bit, but that's what I'm doing to initiate those strikes. Folks, today we're throwing the jackhammer made by Z-Man. It's a chatterbait, but this one's called the jackhammer. It's got a little bit more wobble to it and it shakes really good. It's a great bait. The trailer I'm using is a swing impact. It's a 3-inch, and this is actually a crystal shad, but what I wanna do is show you how I'm rigging it. Okay, and so I've got my chatterbait right here. You can see it's got the little tail on it. The cool thing about the swing impacts, it's got the little spot where the hook comes out. So it's kind of self-explanatory, but a lot of people when they hook them up, they'll hook them up backwards because they think they gotta go this way with it. And what happens is, when you put the bait on this way backwards, See how the tail is coming with the hook? You don't want that because the way this is, it's flipping upside down. What we want to do is take the bait, turn it around. The groove says everything. That's where you want the hook to come out. Bring it down, right in the middle. And then the cool thing about the jackhammer is it's got those little pieces right there that actually hold the bait in place so it doesn't keep sliding down on the hook. I really like that. So once you put it on there, mash it right up on there, and then you got the perfect little trailer, that 3-inch trailer for that bait. It makes it small and compact, and I'll tell you what, that little bait right there is what's been getting it done for us today. Got him. Oh, that's a monster. Come on, son. Look at that beast. Look at that beast. Come on. I'm telling you, if you just take your time through that brush, man, they're there. Oh man, I got him on the bottom. Get up in here. He's not a beast, but he's a beast. Look how fat that fish is. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, it's starting to get a little bit, you know, we're getting low light now because it's starting to get dark on us, and wow, that's a healthy fish. I don't care what anybody says. The fish here at Roosevelt are really healthy. You know, and something else that's really important to remember about this particular bait, like I said, a lot of times you might not get bit as often, but we could probably go out and drop shot, but we might catch a lot of those littler fish if we want to just get bit. Not that you can't catch a big fish on a drop shot, but in saying that, man, you got a chance of catching a real quality fish off this bait. It catches a little bit bigger fish, it seems like to me, and it just, you know, you'll catch some small ones on it, but man, the bites are pretty quality bites. You know, we've had a pretty good little day today. Oh, there's one. There's one. There's one. Oh, I was willing on him too hard. Oh, I got him. I got him. There's one. Oh, yeah. Now that is going to be the way to end the day if I can get that one in. Come on, son. Look at that. We got another one. Keeping ourselves out a little bit, fishing that brush, sitting in 16 to 18 foot of water. Those fish are in that shallower water, but look how healthy that fish is. Beautiful fish. Roosevelt Lake, I'll tell you what, it can be tough, but if you put your head down and believe in what you're throwing, take a bait like this and you catch a fish on it. The first fish you catch on it could be an accident, but you never know. Keep fishing it. If you get bit once an hour, try to find where these fish are hanging out, because you know they're biting your bait. These fish today have slugged my bait. So it's been a slow bite, hard to get bit, but when they hit it, they crush it. And we missed a few fish, you know, and that happens, especially with the exposed hook. And one time I was out of position, but still, I've had a good time here at Roosevelt. And winter fishing can sometimes be feast or famine, but believe it or not, sometimes in the winter you might just catch that giant of a lifetime. I'm telling you, it can happen this time of year. Thanks for joining us on the water. Hey, we'll see you next week. I'm Johnny Johnson. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about, folks.